All right, Bim Bang. Today's Thursday. It's June 16th. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Hey, before we get cooking, though, I want to talk to you guys about Miller Lite. It's Thursday. You guys can see the finish line. If you're one of those cool offices that got those Friday hours or whatever, you know what it's time for. It's time for some Miller Lite. Because summer brings priceless moments, and when you kick back with some friends and you grab cold beers, Miller Lite. Beers. When you grab cold beers, Miller Lite is always the way to go. Because those summer moments are made that much better with Miller Lite, because summer loves beers that taste like beer. And with just 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce servings, Miller Lite is the perfect light beer to sip on all summer long. I'm excited this weekend. Obviously, be at the KFC radio show. Obviously sitting with Kevin here today. We'll be at Park West having some Miller Lights. I'm hoping to make it out there and just have a nice summer night all together with great tasting, less filling Miller Lite. So next time you're getting ready to enjoy cold ones with your crew, go to MillerLite.com/redline to find the delivery options near you. Or you could pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere that they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. Might be having an event coming up at the Wiener Circle with Miller Lite. So keep your eyes peeled. We'll be talking about it on that social channel. So, yeah, we're just excited. We love Miller Lite, and we're happy that we are with them all summer long and all year long. So go drink some Miller Lite and enjoy this episode. I'm here with KFC. Kevin, how are you? What's going on?
Baby, let's go.
It's a hot one out there today,
bro. I mean, it's like it came with me. It's like, of course, the first couple of days I get to Chicago, it's 100 degrees, man. I said it yesterday. I don't even know if I said it on the air. I hate summer. I hate it now, dude. I hate it. And I saw a tweet that said, like, hot take, but everybody loves summer because the first, 12, 15 years of your life, it's like ingrained into you that summer's the best because you're off of school and you're having fun. Yeah. And so you just think summer's awesome. But the reality is when you're an adult, it stinks. Well, if you're not still having fun, like, and I think that goes beyond. I think you can extend that, because when I was my favorite time of my life was 22 to 24, excluding my kids and blah blah. Summertime meant, we're getting a house at the Jersey Shore, we're getting a house in the Hamptons, we're going to go to the beach, we're going to the beach bars and live that summer life. So that was like, I think that includes. But when you stop doing the fun stuff in life, summer just becomes all of your regular responsibilities, and now you're sweating. And I'm a guy who runs hot, Eddie. I run hot.
Do you? But you don't like shorts, though. Is that what you said?
I don't like wearing shorts because I'm just I'm just like a self-conscious weirdo. Yeah. And my body, everybody knows I'm a weird, skinny, fat, marshmallow sticks body. Although it is funny because my legs don't look as bad as you would expect them to look. So there was a picture yesterday on the internet of me in the shorts, and I was walking.
Was that you running out the subway?
Yes. And they were like, people were like, Kevin looks okay in shorts, and that is very upsetting to me. And so, but yeah, I just feel weird in shorts. But when it's like a zillion degrees like this, I feel like shorts look a little goofy.
Frankie and Trent told me that they are out on shorts. They said that they think they're childish. And I was like,
don't get me wrong. I've said this before too. Me, John, and Dan had this take a while back as we started to be like the getting older at the office. I do think that's true. I don't think that like it's a douchebag take, but like if you went to somewhere fancy, if you need to go somewhere right now, you wouldn't wear shorts, right?
No.
Because they look a little bit like, you're in gym class or whatever. You can get nice shorts, you can dress it up, but at the end of the day, shorts will always be a little more like casual. And then I don't know, it's just something about when you get older. Everything when you get older, man. If I wear a hat now, people are like, you're too old for that hat. I can't wear a hat backwards. I can't wear a hat that has a design. You can't wear, and some of them I agree with. Like, you can't wear jerseys anymore. I can't wear, there's certain things you age out of. And
so you don't like Dave going no shirt under the Larry Bird jersey courtside?
Dave has transformed. Dave is the poster child for a take that I've always given. There's no such thing as ugly and good looking. There's only rich and poor.
Yeah.
And once Dave got the money, he totally transformed. And if you got it, and I don't want to say he's got it, like to show it off, but if he looks all right in a jersey.
But he's got the tan. And that's the thing.
He looks like, he's not even a white guy anymore. He's tan year round.
Yeah, he is.
He's like a Puerto Rican guy year round. I think it's weird as a guy, an adult man, to have your armpits out in public. I think that's strange.
But here's
you
the thing.
got armpit hair. Maybe you got some deodorant on. If you cheer and your pits are out, I think that's a little weird.
I'm not going to hold you to this.
What?
I'm not going to do it because I see a day where Kevin Clancy's equity hits.
And I'm doing that.
And you got the John Starks royal blue on
Yeah.
at the Garden, nice and tan. The arms are a little pumped up.
Brother,
and I see it.
God
I
willing.
see it.
Yeah.
I see it.
That's for sure a take from a guy who right now does not have the ability, the money, or the body to go do it all. Once I do, if God willing I do have it, you're probably right. But something about it feels a little bit weird to be wearing.
Sure, yeah.
Like, it's like, are you getting in the game, dude?
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like, it's like I'm sitting there and I'm agreeing with you, but then I'm like, man,
if you can
in
do
another world, if I could throw on that white Jordan and sit courtside,
yeah. It's also, if you're gonna do it, I think it's better than doing a t-shirt underneath.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's either like no jersey or like you're going, bare pits. The crazy. Don't even get me started on the weirdos who wear like a button-up shirt or a collared shirt with the jersey over it.
Yeah.
Like, dude, just don't wear the jersey.
Well, that's like it's like a big Rangers thing, right? They get off work and then they go to the Garden.
Yeah, but it's like, can't I don't know, like bring a t-shirt to work or get change real quick before you go into the arena. Like, it's a weird look. And of course, these are all just judgmental things that don't really matter. And it's like, go ahead, do you. But hey, that's what like the career is based off of, is making,
correct.
Big, like my entire career has been, I really like zoomed in on it when my kids were first born and I was doing early morning Twitter crew, because I was up at like 4 or 5 around the clock, and I was like, there's never anybody on Twitter at those hours. Usually Twitter's fire and jokes and everything at night.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? There's a bunch of parents who are up with me right now. Like, let's make Twitter hot right now. And the thing that we always did was like, give me your irrational takes, and it would be like, fuck donuts or whatever. And that's, to me, when the internet is its most like fun. And we've gotten so far away from that with like politics and just moral bullshit and virtue signaling and all that. It's like, I want to just argue about like, donuts versus bagels, and people treat it like it's life and death, people get so like into that more than they get into anything. So yeah, that's like the career, right? Is giving takes that really don't matter. And
yeah, like it doesn't anger you seeing that.
No.
Someone wearing a jersey.
No.
You know what I mean? That's a true thing. Like when you see someone that angers you, that's when you really care in real life. It's like past.
And I can't think of a time. That's not true. There's definitely times I'm angry, but for the most part, like all of my takes are like, oh, I don't really care. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I thought about this, and this is like, but at the end of the day, you're like, I don't. Yeah, it's not. It's not that big of a deal.
I think the most important part of this job, and I tell people who do answer the internet this, it's about taking non-serious things seriously without being too serious about it. So what I mean is, like, we're going to talk, answer the internet. You're talking about silly things. Which animal could win in a fight? If you take that very seriously and argue with points and research and you're yelling and all that, it becomes very funny and over the top. But then at the end of the day, at the end of this video, you're like, oh, I don't really care.
Yes.
It's the people who actually get offended or the people who are too cool to answer the hypothetical that it's like, all right, like that. We're just having some fun here,
For sure. I mean, case in point, the fucking snake draft. Like, it's the dumbest thing ever.
You guys have made it like a real. Everybody's done drafts. Everybody's done selections. But when you take it as seriously as you guys do, it's like, oh, this is the definitive one now.
Yes.
And then when there's certain people who take it too seriously, those are the fucking losers.
Yeah.
But the people who are like, I don't care. It's like, well, that's lame too.
Yeah,
You gotta find that sweet spot in between.
Like, it's fun to argue about shit.
Yes, and I think that people don't get that a lot too, where they're like, put the phone down, man. Go outside. Like, why are you always arguing on the internet? Or like, you seem really worked up about this. It's like, I'm not. Like, I'm passionate about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm arguing about the Braves and the Mets and shit. And people are like, oh my God, like, you really spend your time doing this? It's like, spend my time writing a 5-second tweet. Like, yeah, I'm good, man.
The only time I get genuinely angry is when I will, I will say a point, make a point, and then people just don't, like, they just try to take away from the point and they don't understand the point.
That's not what I'm saying.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That's the only thing where it's like you want to, all right, I got to get out.
Well, that's what happened with me with like arguing about the Mets right now is like, a lot of people are talking shit about the Mets, saying like their wins aren't important ones and they don't count. The other teams in the division start to do it, and then it does count. So then I start arguing about that, and people are like, wow, you're really getting worked up about these games. And I was like, no, it's because you guys were getting worked up first. And, it all comes full circle. And I think that's why arguing on the internet is the biggest waste of time you're never going to get.
It truly is.
It's why when everything went down with Uvalde, I was like talking about that, and it was like, but now like back to your regular scheduled programming, because there's nothing we can do about it. Like, because people were like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you? I hate when people say use your platform. It's like for things that are unfixable.
Yeah. No, it's tough.
Why? And not even with things like the shooting or Uvalde, more like, when people say use your platform for XYZ, it's like, I'm going to use my platform for what I want to fucking use my platform for. Like, I'm just here it's my job. I'm cracking some jokes and making some money for my family. Like, that's what I use my platform for,
But what was that? Well, it's like the old Charles Barkley thing, like where he's
I'm not a role model.
Yeah. But then, like, I think, I don't know. I guess because
that is an interesting argument.
Yeah,
because
it
you
is.
do kind of same thing with Joe Rogan. Like, Rogan is like, yo, I'm just a fucking stoner meathead who don't take me seriously, and it's like, well, I it's unfair. It's a burden that has been like thrust upon you, but as soon as you have 10 million listeners, you just can't. It's like, it's not, or you have to just dig your heels in and be like, I do not give a fuck. But the in between of like, I want to be able to say what I want to say and make my money, but I also don't want anyone to get upset about it. It's like, well,
Yeah, and that's what we had the CEO of Chicago Big Brothers here a couple of weeks ago, and he was like, hey, but you don't get to decide that. It's
at all.
It's the people who are watching, they decide if they look up to you or not. So that's why it's hard.
And it's also like totally random who can be the guy who gets a free pass and just gets to goof around, and the person who all of a sudden, why aren't you fixing the world? It's like, why don't you bother that guy? Why don't you pin it on him? What's going on right now with golf? With Phil Mickelson?
It's the most fascinating shit ever.
I love it. I think it's one of the most interesting sports arguments, debates, discussions of all time.
Agree.
It touches politics, it touches money, it touches everything, right? But like a bunch of guys are doing it, and I understand that Phil is the most money and probably the biggest name, but like why he is the one taking most 90% of the heat. And it's like, well, why isn't Bryson DeChambeau and Justin and the guy got
Dustin Johnson?
Yeah, he got 130. They're getting a little bit of heat. They're not getting the Phil heat.
But I think Phil has put his foot in his mouth. I think he's made comments where as opposed to the other guys, they're just like, hey, like I'm trying to support my family.
Yeah,
like they're more towing that line. And
what I did not realize that he came out and said, I'm in gambling debt. I thought that was like whispers and rumors, but I didn't realize that was like that the autobiographer that wrote with him like is on the record as saying he gambled away tens of millions of dollars. I thought it was almost like kind of the way we know about Jordan and Barkley and those guys. But I mean, if that's what he should say is like, I got a problem. I'm in some financial trouble. I need to do what I need to do.
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
But that's what we had Riggs on the Dave Portnoy show, and he talked about it. And obviously Riggs is a lot more plugged in than we are.
Yeah.
And he said they're not being allowed to do so. They're like, hey, we're gonna give you guys this money. This is what the company line is. Like we want to.
I was thinking
yes.
that.
So
I was because if I'm paying you all that money, I don't want
Yes.
the line to be, well, I know they're scumbags. I just need the money because I do think that's why Phil Mickelson looked so awkward in that press conference, because it's like he wants to tell you the truth, but he can't. I actually believe, I know it's like, it's a little unfair. It's a lot unfair when those reporters are like, what do you have to say to the families of 9/11? And it's like, whoa, dude, whoa.
Totally.
Like, and that's where if I was those guys, I would have all my research done on all the American sponsors, all the PGA Tour companies that have their hands in Saudi money, Middle East operations, terrorists funded this, terrorists funded that, because all of it's dirty money.
Dude.
And to be like, what do you have to say to the mothers and fathers of the children who died in 9/11? It's like, I don't know, and I don't know why I have to even fucking say anything. Like, I'm playing golf for it's just that it's more frontward facing, how they're like the evil guys of the world. But I don't know. I mean, I think that there's something very real to like, I'm just doing it for my family, and really, that's even a cover up for like I'm just doing it for the money because, like, I can make more. I mean, the way I understand it too is like you just get the money. It's not like a salary. It's like you will have $135 million when I click this button,
which is crazy.
And anybody who says they wouldn't do that is a liar.
And I saw last place got 115 grand. Last place on the tour gets 0.
Come on.
Last place.
And I actually commend the Rorys and the guys who are sticking around, but they're rich and they're good and they can say, I don't need that,
Yeah.
Where it's like, you don't have a gambling problem.
Now,
Dave,
Dave,
you're not a rookie. You're not a scrapper. You're set. And I think it's a little bit like high and mighty of them to be like, and we're doing it the right way. It's like, come on, this is all.
Yeah.
We're talking about professional sports. One of the most greedy, stupid. The fact that any of these guys make millions of dollars is inherently stupid. It's like, come on.
Dave said he didn't think there's any amount of money that would make him do something where he couldn't answer questions honestly.
Meaning, well,
like he said he wouldn't be able to take a check from them and be like, oh, I took it because they paid me the most. Like he said he would have to say that.
Right. Okay. I was going to say, like, winning the argument and being able to just be honest about it are two different things. You know what I mean? Like, if you could just say, I know this is a little bit unsavory to some people, but I don't fucking care, then yeah. But I guess if you're not allowed to say that. But like Dustin Johnson said, like, I'm doing this for my family. Phil can't say that?
Yeah, Phil is just, I don't know. He's out.
I think he kind of fucked up. Because I think it's totally fair to say I'm doing what's right for me and my family, which actually translates to I'm trying to make the most money. But when you start to talk about what I can and can't say, I'm out on that.
And people just don't like people who aren't in the sport for
the glory. Like
to be the GOAT, to be the best,
which is nuts because it's like, I would say maybe a couple of these guys in all of these sports are in it for the competition and the right reason, or at least, you start that way. And then over time you get bitter and jaded and, it happened here. It's like, I still take pride in my stuff, but it's like, I'm more about, like, let's get this job done because I've already said everything I need to say. You've made all the jokes, done all the, it's just like now, on to bigger and better things. I think that's what happens with a lot of these guys is like, we were talking about Jimmy Butler with Dante, how he's doing this coffee company, and he's like, that's his new passion. These guys who put together businesses on the outside, you become a clothing designer, you become a movie director or producer, and that's you have your passion because you don't have passion for the game anymore because you've fucking done it.
Yeah.
So and the fans and everybody, it's like, all right. This is not fun anymore. So I'm going to go do fun shit over here.
Hey, let's take a break here again because I want to talk to you guys about the Game Time app. It's the exclusive ticketing partner of Barstool Sports. The Game Time is a ticketing app that makes it easier than ever to score last-minute deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. And they guarantee the lowest price. They crack the code on how to score last-minute deals, so make sure you're checking out Game Time. It's the best spot to go if you're trying to go to a Cubs game, a White Sox game this year. Game Time is where you're going to check first because really they have the best price drops at the last second, and that's what you're looking for. You guys need that. Don't be paying money and wasting money in ways that you could save and buy a couple beers at the ballpark with the Game Time app. So go use it. I use it a bunch of times this year at Cubs games. Like I always say, I went to that Rangers Penguins game 7, and I'm excited to use it more throughout this summer, going to Cubs games and White Sox games. The best part is you get $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app. Go to the account tab to create a login and redeem code DOGWALK for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download Game Time, last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. Go do it. All right, let's get back into the show. But like guys like fucking back in the day, a great example was Revis. He was such a mercenary. And everyone was like, oh, what the fuck, this guy. There's no, and it's like, dude, I think more people are just going that route now. He was ahead of his time.
Well, you know what it is like, I think the general public has gotten wise to the fact that companies, franchises, leagues, political parties, whoever it is, do not give a fuck about you. And so showing the same sort of loyalty back is stupid, the baseball lockout is like one of the best examples. Like when I see people who are like, you're getting paid millions to play a game, why can't you just do it? It's like, well, how about the guys getting paid millions to not play the game? Who just sit there? How come you don't You don't talk about the billionaires, you know? And so I think that like, but those people are still loudmouths, but I think there's a lot of other people who are starting to realize they're treating you like a mercenary, so you treat them right back, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
It is a little bit tougher to do to the fans, you know? It's like, Revis saying like, fuck you to the Jets and going to the Pats, that's fine to me. It's like, you don't owe, you know, the new management is guys you don't even fuck with anymore, players you don't even play with, you know?
Yeah.
But the fans, it's like, really, dude? Like, you had to pick that?
Yeah. It was that.
Go somewhere else. Like, but I get it, especially in the world of like, get your chip. Like, I don't love what Kevin Durant did with it, like his career trajectory, but I do like the idea of, let me check this box. Let me get the monkey off my back. No one will ever say Kevin Durant can't win one. And now I can go do all the other things that I've ever wanted to accomplish in life, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, there's some debate about that quality of ring or whatever, super team shit, but I got it done. Because if fans are going to be unfair assholes about my legacy, well, I'm going to be like cutthroat about how I go about building it, you know?
Yeah,
I'm just going to go do what I got to do to build the ring.
I respect that he made his decision based upon what would make him the happiest in life.
Yes.
From what it seems.
That too. It's like,
you know?
I don't like Oklahoma City right now. I didn't like playing with James Harden and whatever. Like, you know.
But at the same time, I could still be upset and be like, I don't really fuck with that because you ruined my basketball watching experience for X amount of years because the league was so stacked.
No doubt.
You know.
And I'll also say, like, good for you. You won that ring. You even were so good in the finals that, like, you could say that was Kevin Durant, you know, winning that one.
Yeah.
But that will never even come remotely close to approaching Giannis's ring.
Mm-hmm.
A guy like that does for a franchise and a city like that, he is a god.
Yeah.
You know,
or even about like the Warriors win this one.
Well, yeah, and that's what I was gonna like. I think the Warriors. I really am upset that the way they were crying like little babies about the fans, because that's one of the most like unlikable things, I think.
Yeah.
But I was rooting for them because it was like, this kind of shoves it right in Kevin Durant's face, where it's like, we can do it. We were the core, and you can plug and play with Andrew Wiggins and Poole versus Iguodala and this and that, and we can, you know, we still win. Well, we don't need you. And you know Kevin Durant's a little bit like, he might not say it, but he's like, shit. That kind of hurts the.
But that's why I honestly think that the Warriors are mad that they even let him come. Like Draymond, Clay, and Steph got to be like. Because think about it.
We didn't
they
even
were
need him.
awesome before they won a
Right.
ring before he got there. They were awesome.
Right.
And they were all homegrown, and they were a lovable team.
And then they became the bad guys.
Yes, now they became the bad guys. And then what was it?
But now
2
I think
weeks
they're
ago?
going to come back.
Yeah, now they're coming back a little bit, but it will
But that
never.
in
They will
between.
always have that gap where it's like, well, those don't really count.
Right.
So
but I would, yes, and you could have won, you know, maybe things play different. You don't get injured, whatever. Maybe you win like 5, 6, who knows, and then you're really a legacy, a dynasty. But I do think it's very cool to get one on either side, where it's like, okay, but we came right back and won an organic one.
Totally.
You know?
Totally.
Although, fuck Windhorst with that sound bite the other day.
What was that one?
That their payroll is $340 million.
Oh.
So they just blew through all of the taxes, all of the penalties, and their payroll is $340. And he kind of said that as like a little bit of a, you know, disapproving
jab,
tone. And it's like, Trill Tyler quote tweeted, and it was like, how dare this franchise pay their really good players the money that they deserve?
Yeah.
It's like they're doing it right, and they have an owner who's probably taken a loss financially to have the best team out there. But yeah, I think the fact that they are like, it's despite the money, they're right back there without him. It's like that. Steph Curry's got to be like,
For sure. This
is my team. This is our. You know, it always was our team. We let you stay over for a few nights. You know, but this is our house.
Yeah. Now, to an extent, and obviously I'm going to word this carefully, I guess, but do you feel that way about Barstool in a sense? Where, you know, like you see about the loyalty, and like you'll always be appreciative for what it's given you and where you're at, but at some point, like you're doing this whole comedian thing and you see how independent these guys are.
Oh man. Yeah, like I there are definitely things that I regret. Like I didn't get an agent and I still really don't have one. And that was very stupid of me. Mm-hmm. And I did that because I thought, like, this is just not how we do it with Barstool. I don't want to be at odds with Dave and Erica, and I don't ever want to have, like, play hardball, and, like, I want to do it the right way. And in the end, that loyalty will kind of be like remembered or appreciated or maybe even like compensated for. And it's not. It's just like, oh, okay, that guy didn't have
Not
an
at
agent.
all? You don't think so?
I don't think so. I
No.
mean, what you think that like what do you think's gonna happen? Like they're gonna be like, oh, and also here's like an extra bonus or whatever because you didn't get an agent. It's like, as a matter of fact, everything I learned is, whoever makes the most noise, whoever complains and negotiates and fights, you get what you want.
Yeah. It's
like I definitely should have taken it more of like a business approach where it was just like, hey man, no hard feelings. This is business, And yeah, so things like that. It's like I also used to, there's a lot of shit I just don't want to do anymore. I hate to say it because it makes me sound a little more selfish and like I'm not as much of a team player. But it's kind of like Phil talking about, it's like, or Dustin Johnson saying he's doing it for his family. If it's not like helping me and mine, my crew, I don't really want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I used to always try to help everybody in their shows and guest appearances and help this and help that. I'm like, has it ever been reciprocated by anybody? You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, it's also like, well, why should I even expect that? Everybody's out for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a weird period where it went from like, we were never like all friends with the exception of a couple people here and there, but I did think we were all like more than just like business associates,
Yeah.
And now I think it's like we're all just kind of business associates.
It's weird though, because I do think at the end of the day, like when if everything went down to rubble and it was
Right.
like, I think if he had a sword, he would toss it to you and he'd be like, hey, like,
I
we're
actually
still.
I think so. More recently, I feel like that clip the other day when he said he wants to do more content with me, like knocked me off my chair. I was like, wow. And actually, he sent me a nice text last night being like, congratulations on 10 years. So I was like,
Oh, wow.
little things like that do mean a lot to me and go a long way that I just don't really expect from him. And not in a bad way. He's always been like, I'm not an attaboy kind of guy. But it is, I think that's one thing. Like, I'm not even really an attaboy kind of guy to receive it. But I think inherently everybody is a little bit. It's like, I don't need it. But when you get one, you're like, oh, shit. Fuck,
nice.
like makes me feel good, Or even if it was like, hey man, I appreciate that you never like got an agent and you never, tried to nickel and dime and fight and all that. I'd be like, all right, like that's what I was going for,
Yeah.
And when you don't get that, it's like, well, I should have just, tried to get every single penny. And also now there's a difference between, back when it was like, I have to talk to Dave about my salary and it's his money that, it's like coming out of his pocket basically. And we're still at the reinvestment period of time, I was kind of like, I don't need, that's fair. I'm fine.
Yeah.
When I'm talking about Chernon's pockets or Penn's pockets, I'm kind of like, if you guys can pay me,
I would like.
I want that. You know what I mean?
And he said as much,
Yeah.
before. Or
I think they, I'm just a little, if I, a piece of advice I could give to people in any walk of life is like, you can't be timid about it.
Yeah.
I don't want that confrontation. I don't want it to be awkward. I'll just take what you give me. I've helped other people negotiate, and I just need to take my own advice sometimes because it's like, it's not personal. It's just numbers. Just fucking say what you deserve. And all right, it's hard to ask for more, but do it. I think inherently
it's a weird spot, man.
It's weird. I also think inherently, deep down, I do know that this is a fantasy of life. It's like the money I'm making is, probably like same thing with sports. It's like, does anybody deserve all this for what we do?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And we do because there's a market and that's what people like and that's how people earn money and sponsors, yada, yada, yada. But inherently, goofing around, cracking jokes about your dick is like, part of me always has the cubes in the back of my head being like, as long as I'm not there, Whereas I probably should shift and be like, no, I'm fucking worth this because look at,
But I don't think it'll be so hard for you to ever break through that.
I don't. It's just a personality trait too, And I wish I was one of those guys because I tell everybody else too, though. I'm always like, you are the number one, blah blah blah, in this fucking field. Like you deserve this much.
Yeah.
And I look around. I mean, every time I see the iTunes charts and shit like that, it's like recently my brother had texted me a screenshot, and it was like Burr, us, DeStefano, 3 in a row. Sandwiched in between those two. And he was like, those are two guys, and particularly Burr, who have like mastered a craft of entertainment, honing it for like 20 years. and like you're right there with them, and you didn't do any of that, you know? And it's like, yeah, we like mastered the craft of podcasting or whatever, but that's very different than what they, you know, names like that do. And it's like, so I'm very keenly aware of that it's like, I'm lucky, right time, right place in a world where, you know, it's a little bit of a snake it till you make it sort of thing. But I'm aware that it's like, you know, the minute that everybody just decides we don't want to listen to this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, is there a bubble that could burst? I don't know.
All right, hey, before we go on, I want to talk about Roman. Roman swipes, folks. You guys know the drill by now. It's the way to go. It's the way to go if you want longer lasting sex. Maybe you're going to a lake house this weekend. Maybe you're just going to where, you know, even if you're just going to the bar, the local bar, and you're trying to pick up someone, make sure, or if you're just with your girlfriend or your wife, you always want a good performance. That's why I'm using all these scenarios, but at the end of the day, you always just want to do a better job. So it doesn't matter who it's with, just make sure you're using Roman swipes, because Roman swipes are a clinically proven way to last longer in bed. They're effective, easy to use, and they're fast acting, but they don't require a prescription. Roman ships these swipes to you in discreet, unmarked packaging, and each swipe packet is small enough to hide in your wallet for whenever you need it. They're super easy to use. Just take the swipe out of the packet, swipe it on, let it dry. You're good to go. That's it. Go to GetRoman.com/dogwalk to get $10 off when you choose a monthly plan. That's GetRoman.com/dogwalk. One more time, GetRoman.com/dogwalk. Start using these swipes. I mean, it's the best way to go. Don't be a two-pump chump. Make sure you're using Roman swipes. All right, go get Roman. Go drink Miller Lite. Go catch a ball game. Those are 3 great combinations on this show this whole week, so make sure you're using those 3 products. And, use that swipe. Roman swipes. All right, let's get back into the show.
I was listening to Bert and Stavros the other day, Bert Kreischer and Stavros Aquilas. They were talking about broth, and that's what actually got me to have the ramen the other day. I don't know if you heard about that. I was trying to eat ramen for the first time.
Yeah,
I was like a 5-year-old trying to eat the chopsticks. I couldn't do it. But they were having an in-depth discussion about broth. And they were like, oh, broth and the noodles. Oh, my God. And I was like, I don't know if this is a sign that podcasts are, like, declining and we're almost done. Or is it a sign that this will never go away? Because I'm engaged while they're talking about broth. So you can talk about anything. Yeah. Or is it like, wow, we've really run out of things to talk about.
Yeah.
And I don't know the answer, but, you know, it's a fun ride, whether it keeps going or it comes to a halt, you know?
No, it is. And do you think, you said the other day you don't think you or John will ever try the stand-up game?
I think, have you seen Pete Davidson's new special?
I have not.
It's called like Pete Davidson and the Best Friends, I think it's called. And I think he just hired all of his best friends or close friends, because I know like Carly Aquilino and a couple of them are like, and Machine Gun Kelly, like just his friends in real life. And he kind of emceed it. And they all did like a 5 or 10 minute set, or like a 5-minute set. And then Machine Gun Kelly did a couple songs. It was like 58 minutes. And it was all right. You know, I'll be honest. It wasn't like, I like some of the stand up more than the others. But I think I could do something like that where I'm kind of hosting and emceeing and bringing out people I know. I think that it's too late for stand up. You got to be doing it when you're like 20 something, because you got to bomb. And you got to go through it, and you got to learn. And
you just got to go through that grind period again.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing. Like, you were, you know, staying up all night writing, you know, a Mets blog or a TV blog. Or,
they were on stage.
They were on stage. Like,
but
you know.
Josh Potter once said to me, he's a great comic on the come up out on the West Coast. Buffalo guy, though. Real, like, salt of the earth dude. And he was like, your blogs for those years are my open mics, where you were getting jokes off, and they weren't perfect and polished. And I do actually believe that, because like when I wrote a blog, it was just my thoughts. I didn't like often write drafts and shit. I would tweak here and there, but it was just my thoughts and a punchline and a joke, and I'd write it down. Now, if I were to say that on stage, it would be the same thing, you know? Yeah. You obviously got to cater it to a stage versus a reading, like a written format. But like there probably is some sort of foundation that mirrors stand-up comedy that I'm not like totally fresh, you know?
Yeah.
But I think, you know, even transferring it to podcasting and now video with 1 Minute Man, like I think writing is my best characteristic. I think when people started to hear me talk, some people liked it. Other people were like, oh, I'm turned off by like your voice and you're loud and you're this and that. And then, you know, people see me on video and people get a little like turned off by that too. You know, it's like you have to figure out how to make it work in each medium, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think trying to make it work on stage in a stand-up comedy format is probably impossible. But I do think what I would like to do is create like a new type of live entertainment, like a variety hour that's like, we kind of do it with KFC Radio Live now. We take the blog and we put it on stage, meaning we have like a video screen down. We'll bring up a viral video. We'll bring up a tweet, like, look at this moment from this week, and then we comment on it. And it's like a blog come to life. We bring people out. It's like an interview come to life. We do Answer the Internet live. So it's everything we do just on stage. And I think if I were to do that along with all the comics we've met along the way, throw them some money, get them some exposure, that kind of shit, I think we could create like a new type of stand-up comedy.
I agree with that. There's a way to do a live show without it being stand-up, but it's still being successful. And I mean, you hooked me up with the Garbage Guys. They were in here last month. I mean, look what their concept is. Unbelievable.
Yes, they do it perfect.
And they do stand-up too.
So they do. Kev does a stand-up set.
Yeah.
Foley does a stand-up set. Then they play the game and do their podcast, and it's perfect.
Yeah.
And I've actually talked about just jacking that idea for them and doing it with Answer the Internet. But what would we do? We don't have the stand-up, and that's where we do our podcast. Podcasting live is tough and we're getting to the point where we have a couple segments that we can reuse that are evergreen, that we know people like. But that opening segment in the first, 30 minutes usually is just like talking about what's going on or what's happening. And it's like, I don't know, what if nothing's funny today? What if nothing, what if this week is just not filled? And usually there's something. But the only thing I will say, stand-up comedy is infinitely harder. But once you go out there with a refined routine, you know exactly where the laughs are going to be. You know this is going to crush. I know that this works. Whereas if me and John are having a conversation and it's just not turning out to be that funny, it's like, oh fuck, shit. They paid money, they came out, and now it's, it might be interesting. It might even be like that's mildly funny, but it's not laugh out loud funny.
Yeah.
And when you have an audience of like 1,000 people and they're not really laughing, even if they are enjoying it, it's like, oh fuck, we're bombing.
That's right. I don't really love live shows at all.
No,
like I don't
doing them or going to them.
I don't like doing them.
Yeah. Oh no, I sweat. Yeah. I get nervous, and every time we finish, it's good enough.
But you never feel like it's hard to gauge. Like, was that?
But you know what? They like the rest of my team and the audience will come up afterwards and be like, crushed it. You guys were awesome. It's actually when me and Feidelberg switch. Like he's usually the down one, and I'm like, hey, we're one of the best podcasts in the world. Like, fucking act like it.
Yeah.
Afterwards, he's like, dude, that was our best show ever. And I'm like, really? I thought it was our worst. Like, so I'm always very hard on myself with the live stuff because I think if you're gonna pay $35, whatever bucks to come out, it needs to be a little bit better than the podcast.
Yeah.
And that's not easy, and it's not hard. It's not easy to do when you don't have a routine. And I will I'm stammering and I'm like nervous and
you just never know too. And this is no shot at the Barstool team because they'll put you in a spot, and you've done a lot of cool theaters and whatnot. And I think that's where that needs to be in in a comedy club where it's like an intimate environment. Like they stuck us in this Christmas bar one time, and nobody this was like our first year, still kind of catching our footing.
Yeah.
And they turned off the Christmas music and they put us up, and we're like, people you could see they were mad. They want fucking Santa Baby. They don't want me talking about White Sox Dave's dick. You know what I mean? They don't want.
That is why what you do need to remind yourself of, and it's only if you do it the correct way, is that if you ticket an event and they come to it, they are there for you.
And this was not ticketed. This was
this is just random people at a bar.
Yeah, but in the Barstool world, you're like, oh yeah, sponsor paid for this. Like we're gonna give them what they want. But it's like, you can't always think that way.
No. It's got to really be like the content first.
Dude, you do.
And then I think about what I would pay money for and go out to see and wait on a line and all that shit. If I'm doing that, I really like that act, right? Music, comedy, whatever. So I'm probably going to be pretty satisfied no matter what. Even if they bomb, I'll be like, that was still an enjoyable experience. And I have to remind myself that there's a lot of people like me in that audience, So you give them, and then we're very lucky, knock on wood, that a lot of the times it's just about maybe getting a picture with us or meeting us or seeing us afterwards. That's really what they're there for, you know?
Sure.
And we're blessed that that's the case, because I'm always like, I don't fucking know why you guys even want to meet me, but I'll never get used to that, but whatever.
No, I feel you for sure on that. And also I don't want to give Dave and Erica like a hard time a little bit ago, but you know, they're in a hard spot. You know, like
Sure.
they can't like everyone. The thing about Barstool is everyone thinks that they are the main character.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't matter.
There's big time main character syndrome, they call it, right? Like a lot of that, dude.
It doesn't matter if you're an intern, if you're a producer, if you're a social media person. You walk into that door that first day, you see that stool on the wall, and you're like, I fucking made it. I'm at Barstool, and this is how it's going to happen.
And I don't get it, though, because it's like, all right, you see that stool? It's right next to that guy's office, who's way bigger than you and way more successful than you. And why are you acting like you're, you know, some of the, I think we have a real anniversary problem at Barstool.
Yeah.
We celebrate anniversaries on Twitter every day. There's someone saying, today is my XYZ time at Barstool. And it's like, it could be like, this is my 15th month here at Barstool. I'm like, that's not even a fucking thing.
No, it's not.
Which I say as I'm celebrating 10 years. But I feel like that's kind of a real
that's
one.
What
you know?
My 10 years next year. And
Yeah,
I
you
said,
deserve
I was like, I'm going to tweet something my 10 year.
I put that on my calendar too. My 10 years just of being at Barstool, and then my 10 years of my podcast. But the rest of it, you know, this is my second year as my associate producer of you know, merch. It's like, what the fuck? And I do think, you know,
isn't that crazy though? Do you agree with that? Like everyone thinks that like it doesn't matter. How many employees do we have? 3 something,
bro.
Every single person is like, I made it. Like this is it.
Yeah, and you know what it is? It's we're very good at social media. So all of a sudden you get 50,000 followers like that overnight, and it's like you do think you've made it. And while I am sitting here telling people like, ask for the moon and negotiate hard and ask for all that money, when I hear some of the tactics and the numbers that people have asked for Dave, and it's like, bro, come on. It's like borderline disrespectful to ask for that, knowing what you do versus what some of the other people in this company do, you know?
For sure.
And when I hear like, you know, through the grapevine, I hear people being like, oh, I'm tired, or I couldn't do that show, or I don't have enough time, or I do too much. And it's like, theoretically, everybody could do like 10 podcasts a week. Not well, but I'm saying like talking for an hour or 2 per day. You should be able to do that every fucking day, you know? And so when people have like a once or twice a week successful show, it's like, okay, what are you doing with the other 38 hours in your work week? Yeah. You know? And of course there's prep and shit, and you know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but it's like, come on. You know? No,
I hear you. But there is, you know how it is though. Everything takes longer than you realize, you know?
That is true too. I sound like some of the very people I hate when people are like, you work for 1 hour a week. It's like, no. Because you gotta work on it, then you gotta distribute it, and you gotta produce it and edit it and blah, blah, blah. There's so much that goes into it.
It's like, oh, Kevin, why did you bring the DVR show? It's like, well, I gotta watch the show, and then I gotta talk about the show, and then I gotta, you know, I gotta do it this way with spoil. We talked about it the other day.
Yeah. Am I gonna spoil the show, or are we gonna try to tiptoe around the spoilers and make the people happy while also making the sponsors happy, while also getting the downloads? And I mean, doing sports is the worst. It's like I have to watch every single Mets game now. We're doing post-game reactions, pre-game setups. Yeah, man. And that's all because I'm like passionate about that one. And I want to grow it, but that's on top of twice a week KFC radio, once Kevin Clancy show, the occasional rundown. Like, I mean, at one point I was doing 4 rundowns a week, 2 KFC radios, 5 CCKs, the Mets podcast, and there was like one other like weekly thing I was doing. And on top of, you know, if I do want to put up a once a year blog, or I do jump on a show like this, it's like I was talking, you know, for 12 to 15 hours a week. And that's all my choice, by the way. I feel like what I lack in talent, I make up with in like, I could churn out. Oh, 1 Minute Man was the other thing. I'm doing 5 fucking videos a week, you know? I make up for with like hustle and just like quantity. I would love to have like a Pardon My Take where it's like, I just do this and that's fucking it. But in order to close that gap, I'm like, all right, I'll give you KFC radio, but then it'll also get, you know, 100 million views on 1 Minute Man to like try to make up for it, you know? But so to me, it's like, I think you can always do more, and to be like, it's just about how passionate you are. Yeah. It's, you know, when people were writing blogs, we would write them around the clock because we wanted to. You wanted to have the first one, you wanted to have the best one, the funniest one. So you just did it because you wanted to, not because like someone told you to. That's the big difference, man. It's like, You have to want it, and want it more than just like, I made it at Barstool, I'm famous.
Yeah.
You have to want to be like good at it. Be
and
proud
you have
of
to
it.
also enjoy like, oh, like I think I got this next project I think could be
Yeah.
great. Like you always have to be thinking of the next thing.
The next
in a
thing.
sense.
That's why I started the podcasting. I was like, I can't just write. I got to do the podcasting, and then podcasting turned into video, and whatever else is next. I can't even start to think about what's next.
Yeah,
It's like
no.
which app you have to download and which fuck.
That's
It's
the
like,
worst.
oh my god, it's exhausting, dude.
It's the worst.
What do you think? I know we're probably wrap up. We're probably going overtime here, but like, do you do this forever? When Dave texted me, I said, what's crazier for me than the 10-year KFC radio interview is in 2 years will be my 15-year total. And I think working somewhere 15 years sounds like a thing to me. Like, he was a fireman for 15 years. He worked at XYZ company for 15 years.
Yeah.
That's like, it goes to 30 and then 50. And it's like, those are lifelong, I know people, I friends of mine who have done 5-6 jobs in that time period, And so I said to Dave, if my 15 is coming up, your 20 is coming up. We have like the same year will be, it'll be his 20th anniversary. And it's like, do you just keep doing it?
I
do you
guess.
do you do it till you die? I guess we've shifted and morphed. We went from writers. Now Dave is just kind of like we were bloggers. Now Dave is just a personality. He's just a famous person, Does he eventually become like a producer? Does he become a behind the scenes investor, consultant, like whatever it may be,
Well, he could do what he wants. Because financially,
for sure,
that's what the big factor is, right?
Yeah,
and he.
But
could,
like, I guess for like, I won't have that kind of money, so it's like I will always have to have a job. Dave doesn't have to have a job; he's just going to do projects, right?
Yes, correct.
I will have to have a job, but what is that job when I'm 50? What is that job when I'm 60?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
You know what I would love to do as my like retirement? I would love to. I would love to eventually just like do a sports radio thing for the Mets. I would love to like ride off into the sunset with people being like, "You should trade the prospect for fucking Mike Trout." Why don't we go do that?
Yeah.
And I'm yelling with like arguing with Tony from the Bronx. But I also think the best spot for some of like the OGs to land is it's almost like Catch Me If You Can with Frank Abagnale. Hire me. Have the Mets hire me to do your PR because I know what everyone's going to make fun of. I know it's going to end up on the blog. Like when the Mets post something, completely asinine, I'll be like, nope, don't post that. That'll get made fun of. Nope, that's a bad look. You're not thinking about, the people who tweet this way and the video that's going to get made over here and how that's going to sound. Because you just see every day a professional team put their foot in their mouth, say something stupid, do something goofy. So it's like, let me just take all this knowledge that I've had, like being a pain in your ass all these years, and now I'll do it for you.
Yeah, and I think that's a route for sure. Like I know, obviously,
like a consulting
you're
company?
kidding, but like
I don't even think I am. It's like if I did like KFC consulting, let's say, where it's just like, here's all that I've learned about how to use the internet to your advantage, and more importantly, how to not fuck up on the internet.
Yeah.
When you see like a corporation be like, in honor of Pride Month, we're gonna do XYZ, and it's like, oh no, that looks terrible. Let me tell you why. And
but you see all these
minefield.
people leaving, like behind the scenes people who are getting these big positions.
Yeah.
Like I would think like, there's a new baseball startup in New York. I would think that there would be obviously value where it's like, oh, what if Kevin just comes and he just runs the company?
And that's where maybe, I don't know if there's, that's maybe because I don't have representation or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't even like check my email anymore. So maybe I'm like missing these things.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything along those lines where I think I'd be great at it, especially with the help of my brother, who's like always kind of been the business and like logistics side of it. I think we could run a podcast network. I think we could run a blog company, a social media consultancy, like just how to be on the internet.
Oh, for sure.
Like I think that'll be all of our hallmark. It's like we were the true children of the internet. We didn't grow up with it in our hands. Didn't come out of like the womb with a fucking iPad like the kids are now. But we grew with it and like know exactly the ins and outs and what it was like without it, and what it is with it, and like so the internet is ours.
The downfalls and the upswings for sure.
Crazy, man. But yeah, I do want to make it clear. I don't know. You saying that about Dave and Erica makes me nervous that I was coming across
I don't
as
think you
combative
were
or
at all.
anything.
I don't
but
think you were, but
it's a weird spot for them too because it's like they are, we're friends and we're like, or we're content co-hosts and shit. But then it's also like they're the brass and we're the employees.
For sure.
So wear a lot of different hats.
For sure, and it's a
uncharted
tough
territory.
spot. It's a tough spot that like they're not going to make everyone happy.
Right.
That's just a fact.
No, and it is weird when you work for a company too, where it's like, yeah, that comedian or whoever is making like millions. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
And it makes me want to, of course, go do that. But sometimes I think, I think Patreon's an interesting thing because I think a lot of people donate to a Patreon because they're like, that dude's all on his own, and you're almost donating to the cause, I don't think anyone's donating to my cause because I came from Barstool and they think that I'm already rich and shit.
Yeah.
Where you're not like contributing to the, like the startup nature of it. And then, the other side of it too is like, all right, you're making millions, but you got to pay for your own sales, your own legal, your own this, buy your own studio. There's a lot that they do provide. So
there's a ton.
Yeah.
There's a ton.
No place like it. One day they will write a book or a movie on this place because there won't be another one because it's just the time has changed too much. Maybe there's another company you can compare, but there'll never be another one like this.
There will not. There certainly will not. But yeah, Kevin, thank you.
Let's go draft, baby.
Let's go draft. It's always fun chopping it up with you, man.
You got it, man.
All right, everybody. That's it for today. That's it for this week. We'll see you all on Monday. KFC will be back for a draft, so it'll be fun. See you then.